Is father-in-law suffering from dementia? If so, we should manage his assets.
Excuse me, what are you talking about? Suddenly my son's wife said this and I was stunned. My name is Nancy. I'm now well into my late 60s and I don't mind being called an old lady. I live my life as a homemaker. My husband, who is retired, has also become a full-time homemaker. You could say he is the representative of the old-era men who never lifted a finger for housework before, but now he is even more particular about housework than I am.
When men get hooked on something, they immerse themselves in it, they say.
Even my daughter May says so. Indeed, my husband's passion for cooking is so intense it's almost off-putting. I wish I had known about this talent sooner. His cooking is that good. If he was the type to say my cooking is better than yours, we might have ended up divorced in our late years. But my husband, no matter how delicious the food I cook is, it can't beat Nancy's cooking after all, would say things like that. He used to be a domineering husband, and it feels like a lie that there was a time when my children and I couldn't stand up to him.
People really can change, huh?
My daughter May said and laughed. But the changes in my husband started after he turned 70. What's the next step in the recipe? He started to worry about the cooking procedure he should be familiar with. On another day, he went out to go shopping and didn't return for hours. When my worried daughter was about to go look for him, she found him blankly standing in front of our entrance. Huh? What was I doing again? When my husband said that, my daughter and I exchanged worried looks. My husband's forgetfulness worsened and he started to wander off. We had a bad feeling and couldn't shake our anxiety, so we decided to take him to the hospital for tests. The result of the diagnosis was, "There's a high probability of dementia." My bad premonition turned out to be true. People who have worked a lot, especially those who retire, often develop dementia. I fully understand this because my father had been like that. But my husband, after retirement, had been absorbed in cooking and housework. I thought the hobbies he found after retirement marked the beginning of his second life. Was it my fault? I wonder if asking him to do various things stressed him out. Don't blame yourself. There are various causes, but ultimately dementia can occur despite any preventive measures. The doctor said that to me. For me, it was at least a bit of relief. After asking various questions about how can we slow the progress as much as possible, and what should we do for preventive measures, we returned home. We're home, dear. Huh? Oh. Even if he didn't think he had dementia, he must have felt something was off. My husband became completely depressed and his once dignified, large back now seemed shrunken. The sight felt incredibly lonely. Above all, the biggest relief was that our eldest daughter May was living with us.
Work is my life. I'm not interested in getting married.
As a parent of a daughter who always says that, it's a very complex feeling, but in this situation it's incredibly reassuring. Still, if she ever finds a good match, we parents must not become a burden. I suggested she live alone because I thought if you live with your father who has dementia, you won't be able to rest even at home. However,
What are you talking about? I'm your daughter. Thanks to you guys. I can't just leave you guys when you're in trouble. We'll figure something out. Don't worry. At my company, there are many people who have parents or grandparents with dementia. I'm learning a lot from them. But more importantly, Mom, you can't overdo it. I'll cry, okay? You two need to live long lives.
When she said that, I couldn't help but cry. There were occasional signs of forgetfulness and wandering, but normally there was nothing wrong. My husband did not need to be taken care of. Between my daughter and me, we were able to handle the situation. And almost a year had passed since my husband's dementia was discovered. Then one day, I received a sudden call from my son's wife. It had been a few years since her eldest son had married in his late 20s. He is now in his mid-30s, a father of 2. It's not a problem in itself, but he barely, if ever, visits our home, his parents' house. Initially after his marriage, we were reluctant because we thought it might be too burdensome for him. Perhaps that was a mistake. Even when our grandchildren were born, he did not come home for New Year's or Thanksgiving. Even when we say we miss you and wish you would come home occasionally, all we get is an emotionless response of "I'm busy." Yet he seems to visit his wife's parents' home quite often. Each time we see cheerful pictures on the social network where he posts pictures of his children, we sigh. Men, once they leave home and start their own families, don't look back. Even though my husband says that, I know he feels lonely inside. After all, we are a long married couple. In such a state, I received a sudden call from my son's estranged wife, Jennifer. It was so sudden that it would have been strange not to be surprised. "Oh, Jennifer, long time no see. Have you been well? Is Tom doing well?" Tom is our eldest son.
"Well..."
As expected, a curt response. Whenever I talk with Jennifer, it's always like this. She's never even properly greeted us. I couldn't help but give a bitter smile, but then Jennifer started the conversation.
"I heard from my husband that your husband has dementia. Is that true?"
Oh, so he did read the message. I thought he hadn't, because there were no replies, and we hadn't heard from him since.
"I've been busy and haven't had time. Could you just answer the question? Is it true that he has dementia?"
Despite the harsh way my daughter-in-law speaks, I hastily replied, "Yes, it's true."
"I see."
Could it be that she was worried in her way? Or maybe my son had said something to his wife. I was happy to think that she might be concerned about her in-laws when,
"I'll visit you on my next day off."
"What? Are you coming to our house with the kids?"
"Please prepare things like the household passbook by then, because dementia is a big issue."
"What? What do you mean?"
"Don't you understand? I'm saying that we can't have the inheritance that we plan to take over reduced. From now on, I will manage the assets, so please prepare all important documents related to assets. Of course, that includes the house deeds as well. I will come there on my next day off just to pick them up. I won't come into the house, so no need for tea. I'll be leaving immediately, so take care."
"Wait, what? Hold on. She said what she wanted to say and then abruptly hung up the phone. As the beep-beep sound that can be heard when the call is ended echoed in my ear, I was dumbfounded, muttering, "What does she mean?" By the time I had produced a lot of question marks in my head, the day when my son and his wife would come home arrived. And they did come. It was unfortunate that they didn't bring their grandchildren. My son and his wife, Jennifer, entered our house without any greetings or words after a long absence.
"Hey bro, what's with the lack of greetings?"
My daughter May says, but they ignore her, not even glancing at her. They used to be such good siblings. Looking at the current scene, I couldn't help but feel sad. A discussion was held among us, my husband and me, my son and his wife, and my daughter May. Today my husband's condition is very good, so much to that I would think it's a lie that he has dementia. Perhaps he was happy to see his son and his wife, who he hadn't seen in a long time. If only our grandchildren could have come too, it would have been even better.
"So, I heard from Mom that you want to manage the property? What do you mean by that?"
May was the one to start the conversation. It's helpful when younger people take the initiative in such matters, rather than elderly people who are slow to react. My son and his wife shrugged at May's remarks. "What do you mean? It's exactly what it sounds like. Dad is no good because of dementia, right? So it's natural for me, the eldest son, to manage the property."
"What do you mean by no good? No good? That can't be. What kind of terrible thing are you saying? I've never heard of such a thing, especially when you're not even living together."
That's common sense. No matter how the time changes in the US, ultimately, the eldest son is valued. You, who are not even the eldest son, but a woman, just keep quiet.
"I can't keep quiet when you talk like you're in an old period drama."
My daughter, who is angry to the point of boiling over, slams her hands on the table. At that timing, my daughter-in-law's specialty, the sound of came out. Yes, the clicking of her tongue, that's so annoying. The daughter-in-law looked at May with annoyance and then spoke her mind.
"May, dear, you're living off your parents even at your age. Could you not stick your nose into everything? We're just trying to fulfill our responsibilities as the eldest son. What's wrong with that? What exactly are you complaining about?" "I'm not saying that there's no way I'm going to let you, my brother and sister-in-law, who don't even live here and barely visit, manage the property. I live here too, and our mother is still perfectly capable."
In response to this, the daughter-in-law snorted in laughter.
"Huh, that's hilarious. You're just sponging off your parents by living with them, right? How disgusting, still leeching off your parents in your late 30s. Excuse me, I'm still in my early 30s. That's neither here nor there. You're just trying to squeeze money out of your father now that he has dementia, aren't you? You're so cheap. What are you?"
This is too harsh. She has been completely ignoring her parents' home up to this point, but now she has returned to say such selfish things just to prevent the potential reduction of her inheritance. No longer able to hold back, I addressed the couple. Far from taking money, May has been contributing to this house. If you are going to manage the property, you will naturally take care of us, right? At some point, we may have to go into a care home. You'll cover those costs too, right? And if we say we want to spend our last days at home, you'll provide the necessary care, won't you? At this, my son looked shocked. I continued to press the issue. Setting me aside when you heard your father has dementia and you rushed here, that means you were planning to take care of him from now on, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be any talk of managing property.
What? Who is going to do the dirty job of caregiving? I hate it and I'm not going to do it.
My words must have been both unexpected and unpleasant. Jennifer, my son's wife, refused emphatically, and then my son chimed in a panic. Yes, that's right. We're only saying we'll manage the property as the eldest son. Since May lives here, it's her role as a daughter to take care of you.
What? What kind of self-serving nonsense? Is this really my brother? Or rather, are you really their son?
At this absurd remarks, my daughter gave him a cold look. I felt the same way. Take care of your parents? Live with them? No way but give us the money. They dared to say such ludicrous things. This is more than enough. I've even started to think it wouldn't be so bad to cut ties with my eldest son's family. After all, we've been distant until now, and I haven't been able to see my grandchildren. There's a feeling of loneliness, but it's better to continue living as we have been. Something within me is saying that I should not maintain a relationship with these two from now on. As I was pondering on how to drive them away, May let out a deep sigh and said,
It can't be helped.
Then slowly propping her chin with her hand, she turned towards the couple. Her narrowed eyes narrowed even further as if glaring at the couple. To her flustered brother, who was taken aback by his sister's icy piercing gaze, May said,
Yeah, you're right. You've run out of money because of your failed investments, haven't you, big brother?
Huh? What?
You were so into the investment trend, saying it's the era of investing, it's FX. You must have deluded yourself into thinking that you had a talent for investing, huh?
How do you know that? Wait.
If you ask an expert, they can investigate it for you. It's very easy to find out.
An expert? When did you?
When I received a phone call about the estate management, it was immediately decided. I thought it was strange, so when I looked into it, the investigation results came out so quickly that it was funny. You're in debt hell, aren't you, big brother? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
The one who shouted was not me, nor May, nor my husband, but my daughter-in-law, Jennifer. Oh dear, she didn't know, did she? Well, I was surprised to hear it for the first time too, since I never thought that Jennifer would do such a thing.
Well, since you, my debt-ridden brother, were talking about managing the estate, you probably plan to use all of Dad's money to pay off your debts, right?
No, that's not.
Oh, come on, it must be. And Jennifer.
May's gaze shifts from her pale-faced brother to her sister-in-law, Jennifer. May relentlessly follows up on Jennifer, who flinches under her gaze.
Jennifer, you have debts too, don't you?
She didn't let up.
What? That's ridiculous. I've always been busy raising children. Busy, yes, you must be. What with going to the hair salon, the spa, and eating out at fancy restaurants?
May's scathing sarcasm hits Jennifer hard.
Poor sister-in-law, you must be so stressed, and top of that, you even managed to find time for dates.
After saying that, May lays out several photos on the table. In the pictures placed on the table, there are images of Jennifer, arm in arm with an unfamiliar man.
Oh, why are you taking secret photos? Oh no, it's not a secret shot. You just happened to be in it when I was trying to take a picture of this background. That's a lie! Well, coincidences really do happen, huh? It's actually kind of scary.
I believe it's definitely a lie, but May just laughs it off. I looked at the photos as well. That's definitely my daughter-in-law. The flashy makeup, the hairstyle, the expensive-looking clothes, and the familiar high-end brand bag. She's certainly spending a lot. Jennifer, you were cheating on me? The next one to scream is my son. Apparently both of them didn't know each other's secrets. Although they didn't know about the secrets, the two of them were in financial trouble and teamed up because their objectives coincided. It's really astounding.
Shut up, you were the one who kept quiet about the debt.
No, don't lump my debt and your infidelity together. They're completely different.
Huh? How are they different? You used the money for your own sake, investing and going into debt. That's beyond selfish.
Selfish? You're saying your infidelity isn't selfish, using the money I earned for your spa treatments and beauty salons, all the while trying to look good for another man. That's ridiculous.
The one who's ridiculous is you. What were you doing getting involved with investments when you don't even have the talent for it in the first place? You never had the talent for making money to begin with. That's why you've always been a low-paid employee and never got a promotion.
So I was trying my best to increase her fortune in my own way.
I was keeping my youth by having affairs with other men. It's better for you to have a wife who stays beautiful forever, isn't it?
They're slinging insults at each other. It's a terrible sight to behold. An endless, intense martial quarrel. Goodness, what should we do about this? When it seemed impossible to get things under control, a loud sound unexpectedly occurred. Looking at the husband, it seemed he had dropped and shattered a cup he was holding unknowingly.
Dad, are you okay? Are you hurt?
The daughter rushes to him in a hurry, worried about any injuries. I also rushed to the husband. Paying no mind to us rushing to him, the husband instead turned his gaze to the couple in front of him. By the way, Dad, what's up? Who are you folks? The husband stared at the couple as if they were complete strangers. He must not have imagined being looked at like that by his own father. His son was shocked into silence, standing frozen in place. The daughter-in-law, Jennifer, said, just as I thought.
Look at this. He's so far gone with dementia. He can't even recognize his own son's face. There's no need to spend money on a person like this. Besides, May, who is single, will probably take care of her mother-in-law. Besides, he's an old man whose end is near. Even if we inherit his estate, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think we'll get any bad karma.
I was dumbfounded that she could still say such things, and the husband was looking at Jennifer with a vacant expression. By the way, the husband said in exactly the same way as before, causing Jennifer to falter for a moment.
What is it? You don't remember my face either, do you?
You are. I remembered my son's face, but I can't remember yours.
This damn raccoon of an old man.
I can't recall. I'm pretty sure I don't know any hag as old as this.
Did you just call me a hag?
Caught off guard by the unexpected words, the daughter-in-law was lost for words. The husband continued. I recognize my lovely daughter and my foolish but dear son. I also remember my beautiful and beloved wife, Nancy. Nancy, don't you think this old hag looks older than you?
Maybe, I guess.
The husband nods at my confused response. Exactly, she does. Doesn't she look like a greedy ghost or a robe-taking hag from the underworld? What's with this ugly face?
Maybe right. Haha, certainly. She had affairs and ran out of money, so she's like, give me your money. Just like the robe-taking hag. Oh, but wasn't the robe-taking hag supposed to teach thieves a lesson? That means she might become a target of the robe-taking hag, right?
The daughter grinning at my father's remarks made me give a bitter smile. As expected, the daughter-in-law turned beet red and was shaking. While this terrible look might make her look even older, for some reason I was surprisingly convinced. Thief! A thief! The husband responded to the word thief from the daughter and seemed to have something in mind. He disappeared somewhere for a moment, but before I could worry, he came back. He had a fly swatter in his hands. Hey, Dad, what are you doing?
Stop it! Hey, that hurts!
Get out of my house right now, you thief! To the astonished couple, the husband was swinging in the fly swatter. The couple ran around in panic, and they were cornered all the way to the entrance. I'm never coming back to this house, enough! Shouting as they left, only the dust floating in the room was the photos of the daughter-in-law's affair remained. As I was dumbfounded by what just happened,
wow, that was so refreshing!
The daughter stretched out, hands raised high. The husband was there too, smiling and nodding in satisfaction. Then the husband began to speak. Exactly, it's time to cut ties with them. We're disowning them.
You knew that woman was Jennifer?
Confused, I asked the husband who wore a matching grin like his daughter's. I'm not so senile that I wouldn't recognize that. Several days later, we received a report from my son who seemed to be in low spirits. Apparently he had ended up getting divorced. He had one custody of his child, but he was having difficulties raising the child alone, so he was staying at his ex-wife's parents' house with the child. Even though he divorced Jennifer, they live in the same house. When I thought that, it turns out Jennifer has been disowned by her parents and was kicked out of her house. The parents, who thought their daughter was frequently leaving her children at their home because she was busy, was reportedly furious, shouting, "Oh, what the hell, you were meeting your lover?" They pointed out that their son-in-law had custody and coldly brushed off Jennifer's pleas, saying, There is no place for a foolish daughter here." Later, it was revealed that her lover was actually married. A chaotic scene ensued involving his wife. Eventually, it seemed like Jennifer had difficulty paying alimony to her ex-husband and her lover's wife. She begged her parents and ex-husband for help, but of course Jennifer was turned away at the door. After that, she reportedly went missing. It's unlikely that the alimony will be paid, but my son isn't innocent either. The son, while living uncomfortably in his ex-wife's parents' house, was apparently struggling to repay his debts. On the other hand, we were living peacefully. Even though he says he's reflecting, I have no intention of forgiving my son. However, it's a pleasant change that he occasionally brings my grandchild to see us. But I refuse to let my son into the house, only seeing him when he picks up and drops off my grandchild. I might have to see his face, but it's worth it to see my grandchild. Currently, my husband's condition is stable and it doesn't seem to be worsening. He forgets a lot of things, but I'm not one to talk. His wandering has almost completely stopped. He will never forget my daughter and me. Today, too, my husband, "You are a really beautiful and capable wife," says things like that, which makes me smile. Isn't that a symptom of dementia? I lightly tap my teasing, laughing daughter's head, and we both share a happy laugh.